Welcome to Theater Corner. I'm your host, Michael Taylor. Today we're broadcasting from the beautiful campus here at San Diego City College. And our guest today is Ricky Shabazz, the president of City College. Welcome to Theater Corner, brother. Very nice to have you.
Thank you, Michael, and welcome home. I'm glad you can come home and we could be in the library, which is the place I understand that you spent a lot of time when you were a student at San Diego City College. So welcome. I'm glad to be on this show and to have you here.
All right, thank you very much. And I do have to mention, I am an alumnus of this beautiful institution. This is where I learned to be a critical thinker and a scholar.
That's right.
And so I'm very excited. You're just taking over the position of president here at City College. How's it going so far?
You know, the reception that I've received has been tremendous. San Diego City College is one of the oldest community colleges in the state. We've got great classified professionals, great staff, great administrators, and the faculty here really are committed to social justice. The facilities are amazing. You know, you've had a chance to walk around. We're in the library right now.
Right.
We're wrapping up a $400 million facilities project that has brought on new math and science buildings, new labs. The facilities here are world-class facilities that you won't find anywhere else. You won't find them at the University of California.
Right.
You won't find them at Cal State. So for a very low cost, students have an opportunity to experience world-class faculty and world-class facilities. So I couldn't think of a better place to be. I've been here for about 5 months, and we're really talking about student success and how do we help more students in San Diego get a certificate and or transfer to a four-year university.
When I first heard about the new president coming here to take over City College, I was like, oh, this is great. And then when they told me your name, Ricky Shabazz, I had to pause.
Yeah.
I was like,
I'm sure quite a few people paused, myself included.
It doesn't sound quite European, so but it was a delight to find out we have a brother here at the helm. So tell us a little bit. This person, Ricky Shabazz, where you come from, your schooling?
Absolutely, you know, and a lot of times when a college is selecting a president, it's about fit. And I mentioned that City College is committed to social justice. My life has been committed to social justice, and my experience growing up really mirrors the experience of our students.
Okay.
My mother had me at a very young age. She was 15 years old. She probably wouldn't want me telling her all of her business, but she was rather young. Many of our students have children at a very young age.
Right.
My mother didn't graduate from high school. Many of our students didn't graduate from high school. I was very fortunate, though, because my mom was a very hard worker, and even though she did not fully take advantage of education, she was committed to the benefits of education. And so I saw the struggles of my mother. Certainly my father was in my life. He was in the Marine Corps, so I spent the first 5 years of my life at Camp Pendleton right up the road. Unfortunately, I came up during the 70s where drugs were a reality where I grew up. I grew up in Pasadena. A lot of people think of Pasadena, think of the Rose Bowl and this upper middle class community, but there are some very tough areas in Pasadena, and those were the areas that I lived in. And when you're born to a teenage parent, that usually means you move around. So my grandparents had a very active role, played a very active role in my life. In fact, an interesting thing, my high school counselor was actually my mother's high school counselor. And so she invested a lot of energy into me because my mom had potential, and she recognized that potential in my mother and that potential in me. I took classes at a community college at 3 times in my life. I participated in concurrent enrollment, which allows high school students to take classes at a local community college for free. So I did that at Pasadena City College. I went straight to UC Davis, which was an amazing undergraduate experience. Attended UC Davis for 5 years. In order to graduate, I had to take classes at Sacramento City College. was very fortunate when I graduated from UC Davis with a degree in Native American Studies. I was very active as a student, wrote for the student newspaper, was a quote-unquote activist, if you will,
right.
and was very fortunate my senior year. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was in an awards banquet for student leaders. Happened into a conversation with the vice chancellor of UC Davis, who at the time was a black woman, and she said, you know, what are you doing, Ricky, when you graduate? And in fact, I didn't know what I was going to do, just wanted to go fishing, have a love for fishing. My grandparents took me fishing throughout my childhood. It was something we did as a family. And so the vice chancellor said, Ricky, what are you going to do when you graduate? And I said, you know, I'm going to go back to LA and figure it out, because I really didn't have a clue of what I would do. I had such a positive experience at UC Davis that I didn't really know what I would do. And she said, well, there's a job in LA. You should look into it. And that conversation led to me applying and being hired to be the assistant director of admissions at UC Davis over recruitment, outreach, and admissions for Southern California. And so they hired this 22-year-old to help grow enrollment, and that launched a career that ultimately led me to be the president. Now, in between then, I worked for UC Davis for about 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
Had a short stint as a vice principal of a high school. I realized real quick that I love working with high school students, but not every day. Went back to UC Davis to direct their math, engineering, science achievement program, which is a program to increase the enrollment of underrepresented students into sciences. You'll appreciate that. We have a great MESA program here at San Diego City College. From there, I had a very short experience at Harvey Mudd College as the associate director of admissions, another science-based school. And then I got a call from a colleague that I met who was recruited to go and be the dean at Compton Community College. In around 2013, Compton Community College lost its accreditation and launched a partnership with El Camino College to keep the doors open. And they recruited me over, my colleague Keith Curry, I have to give a shout out to him. Dr. Curry at the time recruited me to come over and be the director of outreach and school relations at Compton College. Now, all of my mentors thought I was crazy to go to Compton at the time. But I wanted to work with Keith, and I wanted to work with a community that was very similar to the community that I grew up with. I valued education. I knew how important education was for Compton. So I went to Compton, and what I found was a college that needed me. I found a college that needed education, and I found an opportunity to really work on my craft as a professional, which is enrollment management, making sure that colleges grow, have access, be committed to equity, and I couldn't think of a better place to be than Compton. Long story short, when I arrived at Compton, they were going to close the doors.
Right.
On paper, they said we had about 3,000 students. When I walked by the classrooms, I saw 5, 6, 7 students in each class. Fortunately, we were protected by the state in order to grow. And in about 7 years, we grew the college from about 3,000 students on paper, even though there was really about 1,500, to over 14,000 students.
Wow,
now, that doesn't happen, right? This is a college that doesn't have an accreditation, had financial problems. And what I learned from that, Michael, is timing. And so I started as the director of outreach and relations with schools. And when I left in 2014, I was the dean of students, and I want to share with you one of the most powerful experiences I've ever had in my career. The graduating class of 2013 was the largest graduating class in the history of Compton Community College. Now, mind you, Compton's 90 years old. It's not a new college. It had been around. Matter of fact, the Bushes, the elder Bush, attended Compton Community College because at one time, its close proximity to the port, it was a training location for the military. So a lot of, there were barracks at one time. And so the elder Bush actually attended Compton Community College. A lot of folks don't know that point. The best experience I've ever had in my career was the graduating class of 2013. I was looking for the valedictorian, who was a single mother, Latina, first in her family to go to college. And she was the valedictorian. She was missing in action. One of my responsibilities was running graduation. largest graduating class, somewhere between 600 and 700 students. I'm walking down the center line of March, and the students uncoerced started chanting my name.
Wow.
The hair on my neck stood up, and that's when I realized that I had recruited, if not all, the majority of those 600 or 700 students that were graduating that year. I finally put in a call to the valedictorian, and she answered the phone after calling 5 or 6 times. And I'm like, "Where are you at?" She says, "You know, I'm sorry, Dr. Shabazz, but I don't have anyone to watch my children, so I can't come do the graduation speech."
Geez.
I said, "Girl, you better get over here." So I wound up watching her children while she gave the speech.
Very nice.
And she gave one of the best graduating speeches that I'd ever seen. Long story short, I left Compton that year and went to be the vice president of students at San Bernardino Valley College. I lived in Rialto while I worked in Compton, and I was commuting an hour and a half one way for 7.5 years.
Wow.
And, decided it might be best to work at a college near my house. San Bernardino Valley was 7 minutes from my house. Worked there for about 3.5 years, and was encouraged to apply to be the president of this great college, City College, and was fortunate enough to be hired.
And we're fortunate enough to have you.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Very nice. And so this is Theater Corner, and you actually have a theater here at City College. Tell us a little bit about what goes on there.
Great. I appreciate you asking that question, because City College has a number of great programs, and one of them happens to be the theater program. And when I say theater, let me broaden that, because not only do we have theater, and we have the Seville theater, we have the Black Box, which is a very small, intimate theater, but we also have this great dance program. We have this great costume makeup program, and so we offer students in the San Diego area a well-rounded education where they can use a community college, low-cost community college experience to serve as their entry point into performance. And so our theater program, our dance program, put on a number of performances throughout the year, and it offers students an opportunity to get into theater, and many of our alumni have gone on to transfer to places like San Diego State, UC San Diego, and are traveling around the country doing performances. And so San Diego City College has a very vibrant and active theater program. And I would also encourage the public to come check out a student performance. You'd be impressed with the type of performances that our students are providing.
Oh yeah, it is quite impressive. And speaking of impressive, I mean, every weekend I'm tuned into 88.3, and that's broadcast from here at City College. Yeah,
you know, and I was sharing with you as we were preparing that the taxpayers of San Diego have invested $400 million into the facilities here at San Diego City College. And so what you'll find is a world-class education in the arts, in the sciences, very well-rounded. But I have to brag about our RTVF program for a while. We do have one of the largest jazz stations west of Mississippi, 88.3. I'm on the 88.3 at least once a month. So we have our own radio station. We have our own television station. Our students produce their own news show and television shows, multi-million-dollar television station here. We have film students. There really isn't anything you couldn't do by coming and being a student at San Diego City College. But I had a chance to visit our news station just last week, and we had this green room. You know, I got to play with the green wall that you get in front of, and they can essentially put anything behind your back. And so there's some great opportunities for people to work on camera, but also behind the camera.
Another thing is amazing about City College, unfortunately and fortunately, you know, you have students here that are basically homeless, perhaps.
Absolutely.
But you actually have a pantry here. That provides food for them, so they're not going to class hungry.
Correct. And again, that's another testament of the great faculty, the great classified professionals, and the administrators. Many of us do payroll deduction to support a food pantry, which allows any student to come and access food. You know, our faculty, we're talking to our students in the spirit of student success. What are some of the things that prevent you from being successful? And the number one thing was that they were hungry. So our faculty got together, pooled their resources, and actually started a food pantry, which provides food to thousands of students a semester, that enables them to have a meal on a day where they may not be able to afford to purchase their own food. But
no
in addition,
questions asked.
No questions asked.
Right.
In addition to that, they didn't just stop with a food pantry. They also have this boutique called Fantastique, because they also found that students were going through an education and maybe needed a suit to go on an interview, maybe needed a nice blouse to go on an interview. And so, much like they did with the food pantry, they went to the employees of the college and said, would you donate your old suits? Matter of fact, I got some suits in the office right now I need to take down to Fantastique. But a student can go into Fantastique and buy themselves a suit for as low as $5.
Wow.
Can buy themselves some dress shoes, can buy themselves a tie. Our female students can buy themselves a nice business suit. And so that is an example of the college's commitment to social justice. Say, you know, we're not just about educating students in the classroom, we're educating students in a well-rounded way, body, mind, and soul.
Wow, that's phenomenal. That's why I love City.
That's right, me too.
I mean, that's where I got my professional life started. I had a certificate program, archaeology certificate program,
Who would have
right
thought?
Here at City College.
That's right.
So I absolutely love it. So before we finish, I gotta talk about your this amazing hobby of yours. This is a brother that is a professional fisher.
Yes.
What would be the technical
I'm a
term?
professional bass fisherman, yes.
You're a professional bass fisherman. I mean, you've qualified to fish the Bassmaster Elite Series,
Yes.
and this is the highest level of professional bass fishing tournaments in the country. You've once finished in the top 10 on the Fishing League Worldwide Tour.
Yes.
You maintain several sponsors,
Yes.
and you also write articles in fishing magazines and on websites. Other than finding the time to do all, where did this love of fishing come from?
You know, it came from my my grandparents and my parents. I was very fortunate that coming up, my grandparents played a very active role in my life. And both sets, on my father's side and my mother's side, love to fish. On my father's side, they're from Texas, Texarkana, a little small town, northeast Texas. On my grandfather, or my mother's side, they're from Louisiana. So that's just what we did. Growing up, we would go camping and fishing. And the beauty of fishing is, you know, when you're 5, 6, 7 years old, you know, your parents could take you to a lake, put a fishing rod in your hand, and just let you run your imaginations run wild. And so my grandfather always had a bass boat. And so one of the ways that I could go fishing is I had to get good grades. Right, my grandfather wouldn't let me get in the boat until I got in middle school. I think he was a little worried about me running around the boat. But once I got into middle school, he would take me out in his bass boat. And my grandfather was a retired postman. So he didn't like to go fishing on the weekend. He wanted to go during the week when nobody was on the lake.
Man.
And so I convinced my mother that if I got good grades, that every now and then I could miss school to go fishing, particularly in the springtime is the best time to go bass fishing. So I would very often miss a Wednesday or a Monday during high school and during middle school. But in order to do that, I had to get good grades. And so I developed a love for fishing. Again, grew up in Pasadena. There was a little bait and fishing tackle store there called Johnny's Sports Shop. I started working there when I was 15 years old. And I actually went to UC Davis because it was located in Northern California where all the big tournaments were.
I see.
And so my freshman year in college, I actually went to UC Davis to play baseball, and I wound up giving it up because I fished my first tournament my freshman year in college. And in fact, I actually finished in second place.
Wow.
And it was history. And so I have a love for the outdoors. I get to travel all over this great country and see things like bald eagles and deer and bear. And the water is highly spiritual for me. When I'm out on the water, I'm not thinking about politics or education or the world. I'm really connecting with nature, and I just love to chase those little green fish all over the country.
That's really quite amazing and a unique thing, you know. I'm sure when you first told me about it, I kind of joked a little bit about it, but I mean, that's not a simple thing to do. I mean, there's a lot of, I see you bringing a lot of technology into.
There's a lot of science, of science into it, but at the core, you know, most black people are from the South one way or another, and black folks love the outdoors. I have a lot of people who I meet from all walks of life fishing, and it's something that connects people spiritually. The pursuit of a fish, it is highly technical. I've got 40 or 50 Daiwa rods and reels.
Wow.
I work with a technology company called Navionics, which actually you'll appreciate because of your background. They do all the mapping for the lakes and the ocean.
I see.
And so it gives you the contours of you know, how deep the water is and that sort of thing. And at the end of the day, to simplify it, because there is a lot of technology involved, over the years, I've just learned to think like a fish. But there's one story I want to share with you, because growing up, I was always really, really good with math. Took calculus in high school, took calculus in college. But my reading and my writing suffered, right? Now here's someone who stands as a journalist and I'm a president of a college today. But the reason why I did that, and this is the value of education, I'm gonna bring it back to City College, but in middle school, my grandmother realized that I was struggling with my reading and my writing. And I don't know how she did this, because my grandmother also was not an educated woman. She had my oldest aunt when she was in high school. But my grandmother realized I was struggling with my reading and my writing, and she actually bought an encyclopedia of fishing. And I read the words off of those books. I read those books so many times that the pages tore. And I can pinpoint that moment to me getting or becoming a better reader and a better writer. And that's an example of some of the things we do here at City College. Our English faculty at City College are having our students write blogs and things that, in their words, not mine, trick a student into being a better writer. Because so too often we're told, oh, you're not good at math, or oh, you're not good at reading. And it's not that you're not good. It is an opportunity for a teacher to inspire you to be good at something by connecting it to something you already love.
Correct.
Right? And that's really where my passion for fishing connects to my passion for education. And I can pinpoint it to my grandmother, who was not an educated woman, realizing that her grandson was struggling with reading, because I didn't like to read. And it wasn't that I wasn't good at reading, someone just didn't inspire me to read something that I liked.
Correct.
So she went out and found something I liked, which was fishing, and my reading took off. And I can tell you the faculty here at City College do the same thing. They connect students and meet them where they are and inspire them to be what they can be. Quite
amazing indeed. So you're taking over a campus, I can hardly recognize it from when I was studying here. Incredible growth. Tell us a little bit about this expansion at City College.
So I mentioned that the taxpayers passed a bond measure that afforded the entire district, right? So City College, San Diego City College is part of the San Diego Community College District under the leadership of our chancellor, Dr. Constance Carroll, which is an icon in education.
Very much so.
But we also have a very active board of trustees led by our board president, Maria Nieto Sr., Dr. Maria Nieto Sr., who is responsible for training 90% of the counselors in the San Diego area. She was a professor at San Diego State. So the Board of Trustees, our chancellor, and the taxpayers passed a bond measure that put over $1 billion into the 3 comprehensive community colleges and the continuing education, which offers free courses for the community. And San Diego City College received over $400 million of that. And so what you see is an opportunity that presented itself to build facilities that are world class. So when you come to City College, whether you want to do whether or not you want to go into professions that allow you to do what we're doing right now, either be in front of the camera or behind the camera, whether you want to go into the sciences or the arts, you're going to find world-class facilities that allow the public to take community college courses, which are very low cost,
right.
Great learning, very personable. You're going to have a connection with your faculty, and you're really going to be able to get hands-on experiences in facilities that rival anything you'll find at the Art Institute, at UC, or Cal State. But you're at a community college,
right.
Which means, to me, the value, and I worked for the University of California for 10 plus years, the value of a community college is this. I used to bring thousands of students to UC Davis. Out of those thousands of students, only 10% could actually ever get admitted into UC Davis. The beauty of a community college is you can wake up tomorrow and say, you know what? I want to work in radio television. I want to be an archaeologist. I want to be a scientist. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a teacher. I want to work in heating and air conditioning. And you can do that. To me, that's the power of a community college, is that most black students, most Latino students get their start in a community college. Most immigrants, most low-income students get their start in a community college. And the value added to this is that the faculty know the challenges that our students face. The student who just woke up after getting out of jail, the student who just had a baby, the student who just got off of welfare, the student who just got out of the military, the student who has a disability. Regardless, the value and the mission of the California Community College, and particularly San Diego Community College District, is that we serve all students regardless of how you come to us. And students go on to do great things like yourself. Right?
Thank you. Yeah. So, Dr. Ricky Shabazz, president of City College, thank you again for coming by Theater Corner and spending a little time and allowing me to introduce you to San Diego. And the next time you're out there on the boat fishing bass, we'll let you take one of these Theater Corner hats.
Thank you.
Keep the sun out of your eyes.
That's right. and you know, this means a lot to me, Michael, and what you do means a lot. And San Diego City College is so proud that folks like yourself experience an education here and then go on to do great things. And what I'd like to leave the audience with, if I could, is that folks have an opportunity, much like yourself, to come to City College, major in one of over 200 different major program opportunities, and go on to do great things in their life. So thank you for considering San Diego City College. Thank you for choosing San Diego City College, and thank you for hosting this interview here in our library, where I understand you spent a great deal of your time when you were here.
A lot of late nights.
That's right. That's right.
So again, I appreciate you, brother.
That's right.
Keep doing what you're doing. And who knows, maybe come back in the next 5 years or so, we'll do this again.
I would love to. You have an open invitation, absolutely.
All right, very good. Very good, brother.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And thank you, viewers, for tuning into another episode of Theater Corner, and we'll see you next time.